details at this juncture on what exactly is taking place, on why there's been that delayed launch of the SpaceX rocket, the Dragon as it's known. It's a SpaceX Axiom 4 mission. Pallav Bagla with us as well. Pallav, I'm going to come to you in a moment, but it was approximately at this time today that we expected Shubhanshu Shukla, India's astronaut, to blast off on this ship. So let's have that first image up of the rocket itself. The rocket is 70 meters in height. It's 3.7 meters in diameter. It is an extremely large rocket. Now, what has taken place now, if we go to the next a movement of this particular aspect, is this is the first stage. It has got multiple Merlin engines, and what we have now learned, we'll stay on this for a moment, is that it was at this area that there was a liquid oxygen leak which took place somewhere in that first stage, perhaps not in the thrusters that you see, but in another area, that there was a liquid oxygen leak which took place, as a result of which this mission was scrubbed. I'm going to talk to that with Pallav in a moment from now, but the key point that we've been trying to establish is that it's not just weather concerns alone. But let's talk through the rest of the rocket system before we move on. So now this first stage has also got landing legs. That comes into play, of course, much later after the blast-off takes place. These are reusable stages. This is something that SpaceX does quite well. So this will actually come down. But let's look at the other aspects of the rocket itself. It's got different stages. There is this interstage which connects the first and second stage. Then there is another stage as well, which we can talk about. So let's move to the next page, please. Right, can we move to the next one? Yeah. So now this is again a part of that second stage. It's powered by a single Merlin vacuum engine. And finally on top, there is the payload, which in this case is the Dragon capsule itself. So the payload in this sense is the spaceship. It's the Dragon capsule. It's the one in which all of the astronauts are seated and are ready to sort of get, as that blasts off, that's what's going to mate with the International Space Station. But let's go back to that first image for a moment, and that first image which will show you the entire rocket. It's that first stage of the rocket which has been deeply problematic. Can we go back to that first image? Right, let's have that first image up of the entire rocket. It's the first stage of the rocket right below where there has been this failure, in a sense, a technical issue. Now, why is this important? Because let's bring out a tweet which NASA initially had. Let's play that tweet out, and that tweet indicated that the launch was being delayed because of weather concerns, possibly because of high winds. So let's have that tweet out if we can. Right, we don't seem to have that tweet. Do we have the audio soundbite? Because there is an important, right. So there was a tweet which actually did come out from Axiom and SpaceX where they said that this particular launch was being delayed because of weather. Now, that may have been a case, but it was subsequently that we found out that there was also a press conference where they identified technical issues associated with a leakage of liquid oxygen. So let's just play that out and listen in.
Human spaceflight's really core to SpaceX's ultimate mission, and flying crew safely is always our top priority. Spaceflight is really hard, and we're learning every day. The more we fly, the more we learn. On Saturday, Dragon and Falcon rolled out, and we went vertical on the launch pad ahead of the teams participating in the rehearsal of launch day activities, as Alan talked about. Shortly, the dry dress was very successful. We completed the Falcon 9 static fire, but we discovered a few things during the static fire that we had to go take a look at. We found a LOX leak that we previously had seen on this booster during its entry on its last mission, and discovered that we had not fully repaired the booster during refurbishment, or we didn't find the leak and didn't get it corrected. We've now gone out to the launch pad. We're continuing to troubleshoot that. We should get that completed today, and we will have that back in configuration. And we're installing a purge that will essentially mitigate the leak if it still continues, if we see it on launch day. So we'll be fully ready to go fly. We also discovered an engine 5 thrust vector control problem, and we're going to change out the components associated with that. In fact, they're already changed out now, and we'll be complete with all our work this evening, and we'll be ready to support launch as early as tomorrow.
All right, so that's the key aspect over there where that official actually explained for the first time that there were technical issues as well. When we discussed this last night on Left, Right and Center, we were able to establish, in fact you were, that there were technical issues. It was that liquid oxygen leak. And what he actually mentioned over there confirms what we know, that the real cause over here, and this is something which the ISRO chairman has also tweeted out, is that there's been a technical issue and that has to do with safety, which is why we're having this discussion. Pallav.
Absolutely. It had to do with safety, and the safety of the crew is paramount on human space flight. Repeatedly, when I queried Indian space experts at ISRO, they said if there is a liquid oxygen leak, it can cause a fire, and they would never fly a rocket if there was a liquid oxygen leak. To put it bluntly, I think SpaceX was doing some jugaad on the launch pad. And the Indian contingent was not comfortable at all with the jugaad which was being done to purge the liquid oxygen if it leaks. So some way or the other, the Indian Space Research Organization delegation, there are two of them there, they weighed in and made sure that the launch was postponed. And ISRO also ensured that there is validation of what has been undertaken as repairs. So the repairs have to be undertaken and validated. That's why if we see, normally NASA says not before such and such date a launch. This time there is no date and it can go on endlessly. Probably the window is till June 30th, but this was clearly a safety concern.
In fact, this is the broad area. It's this stage, the broad area, where there is thought to have been a leak of liquid oxygen. And that causes that huge concern that Pallav is referring to. Pallav, does it need to be taken off the pad?
It may have to be taken off the pad. We are not sure. There's going to be another meeting tomorrow between the officials of ISRO, SpaceX and Axiom, which will decide the future of this particular mission. But officials at ISRO are very clear that these checks, these repairs have to be validated. They cannot fly humans into space on a rocket where there is liquid oxygen leaks. Right. So they were very clear in the mind, and that is why they weighed in for safety issues and made sure that the launch was postponed. And if you heard from the audio bite, SpaceX was trying to hurry it up and wanted to finish it in 24 hours and finish it on the launch pad. They said, no, unless it's validated, don't fly, we will check on it. India is paying lots of money on it. India has a stake on it.
Look, safety is all important, and there can be no two ways. If we've got ISRO scientists, and that also the ISRO chairman, he came out with a very clear tweet. We'll play that tweet out later on, saying that no, look, we need to wait on this, and we need to wait on it.
One more thing. See, the ISRO chairman, Dr. V. Narayanan, is a liquid propulsion expert. He is the one who made India's cryogenic engines what they are. He knows all about the risks of leakages of liquid oxygen. So he did not want to take a chance with what he was seeing on the SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket, where the first stage was a reuse stage and they had detected a leak earlier. They had not fixed it and they continued with it and yet wanted to fix it on the launch pad. The team at ISRO was not comfortable with that, and that is why there has been a hold on the launch of Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla.